If this is your first time checking me out, my name is Lydia Nicole, and this is Acting Smarter Now. I'm the host of the Acting Smarter Now podcast, as well as the creator of the Acting Smarter Planner. So today, I wanted to talk to you about collaborations. It is something that can either launch a career and destroy a friendship. Um, I was working with a client yesterday and we were talking about collaboration, and horrible um, she had a horrible situation that happened to her because she had gotten into a collaboration with somebody. There was nothing in place to protect her. They put this project together and they ousted her. And it brought back a lot of feelings for me because early on, I partnered with people to do collaborations, wanting to be creative, wanting to have wanting to just do work and work with good people, and not understanding, because I had never been there before, that before you enter into a collaboration, you got to take care of yourself. You cannot jump in and start offering ideas or concepts until you know the basics. So I wrote down some questions that I want to go through for you. So when you are getting ready to do a collaboration, you have asked these questions before and you write them down so it is clear. It is clear because as actors and as artists, we are so willing to give and be creative and be part of the process. But as business people, we do not take care of us many, many, many times. And it doesn't matter how old you are, it doesn't matter how much talent you have. This is an area where we as artists have to take care of ourselves first. Um, as someone who started in the music business and saw artists get taken advantage of because they were collaborators, they gave their talents, they gave their stuff, I still didn't learn. I didn't think it applied to me until it happened to me several times. So I've come up with some questions that you can start jotting down and think about the next time you are asked to collaborate with somebody or you want to collaborate with somebody. So I wrote these down, so I'm going to read them. The first question is, what is the clear goal of this project? You, as an artist, have to know what the clear goal of it is. Are you working on a short film? Are you working on a web series? Is it a real piece? Is it content for social media? Are you working on a script, a movie script, a TV pilot? Is it a song you're working on? Because I know a lot of actors who also are musicians, also are musically inclined. You may want to write a song with somebody. So the first thing is you got to know what the clear goal of the project is. What is the project and what is the clear goal? The second thing you need to know is who owns the idea, the script, or the concept. Is it one person's baby? Is it a shared creation? How do you define the intellectual property? Who does it belong to? Is it 40% you, 60% someone else? Is it 20, 40, 60? Maybe there are three people involved. As I'm saying this, I'm being reminded of Motown. Motown was notorious for taking people's intellectual property. They would, especially Barry Gordy, he would come in, you would write the song, he would come in and put a line or two, and he got the major credit for it. So you, as an artist, a lot of times got your music jacked because you did not know. This is the same thing with actors. We want to let's write a pilot together. Let's write a play together. Let's get together and do our own movie or do our own podcast. Who does this belong to? Who owns the right to this idea or concept? You got to put it down on paper. So the first thing is, what is the goal of the project and who owns the idea? Number three is, who is doing what and when? You got to be specific. This all has to be done before you start. Be specific. Write out everyone's tasks, their duties, their deadlines, their assignments. No assumptions. Well, I thought you were going to do it. No, I thought you were going to do it. Hey, no, you were supposed to do it. No, if we have it down in writing, then we know whose lane that is. Who's in charge of the publicity? Who's in charge of the promotion? Who's in charge of getting the crew together? We want to be clear. That is really important when you are collaborating. I was part of two very fantastic comedy groups. They both were women comedy groups. The first one was a multicultural comedy group called Funny Ladies of Color. And when you're young and you're starting out and you don't, you just want to do good work. You don't think about questions. You don't write stuff down. You're just going along for the ride. You're just, I was young. I was like, oh yes, let's do this. Let's do it. And we were having success. And towards the end of it, the two people that I had partnered with, because I was under the assumption it was a three-way situation. We were going to do this together. I had brought these people together. It was one person's idea, and I was the one who initiated everything. I was the one who gathered everybody and said, let's do this. And at the end, when Hollywood came calling and it looked like there was going to be some money, they were trying to oust me. And it was very heartbreaking. There was a lot of stuff, and the thing was, I didn't have anything in writing. Neither did they, but it just was a horrible ordeal at the end. It was not a good thing. And did I learn from it? No, I did it again. The second time I I was part of a group. Again, I helped initiate it. Someone came to me. It was called Hot and Spicy Mamitas, which was phenomenal. I mean, we had a 6-year run. We had a CD. We did a lot. We got a billboard on Santa Monica Boulevard, this huge, big billboard on Santa Monica. We had done a lot. It was 5 of us. It was originally 2 of us that put it together. I was approached I had just come out of Funny Ladies of Color, and this comic came up to me and said, hey, you just did this thing. Let's do it with Latin women, blah, 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 blah. We'll make it smaller. I was like, great, I'm in. And about 6-7 months in, I find out that the idea was somebody else's who happened to come into the group. I didn't know anything about it. And we are rolling now. We are doing stuff. I'm cooking with gas. I'm helping. We're making things happen. And now this woman wants credit for the project. And so I offered to give a percentage. Say, hey, we could do a percentage. And what I finally did was say, you know what? We're all equal partners. Again, in the beginning, I should have learned to write it down. Okay, this is what it is. This is what it's not. Who's doing what? Who's doing this? And it ended in heartbreak again. I felt like I had put so much work into this. I had given my all to this. And at the end, I had to walk away because it was not a win for me. It was heartache. It was craziness. So that's why I'm telling you this stuff. when you collaborate with somebody, you have to put your stuff in the beginning. And I have become clear about it. One of the things that I was telling my client yesterday is, if you've never been in a situation like this before, you many times don't know what to ask. You don't know what needs to happen. And that's why we're doing this, because as you are seeking your success, as you are seeking to make your mark in the business, you're going to have a lot of firsts. When your first movie hits big, you don't know the magnitude of it. You don't know all the stuff that goes on. You're learning as you go. I always say, I've never been here before. Every day is a new day. But if you have a cheat sheet or a roadmap as to where you're going, it makes it easier. So what I'm giving you today is part of a cheat sheet to help you, so as you get to that place, you can maneuver a little easier. So we discussed the first thing we talked about was having a clear goal of what this project is, knowing who owns the script, the concept of it, whose idea is it split. Number 3, who is doing what and when. That is so important. Number 4, woo, this is a big one. What happens if someone does not deliver, right? They're supposed to be doing this, they're supposed to be doing that, and they're not doing anything. This should be in writing. If you don't do what you're supposed to do, what's the exit strategy? You should have that written down. If you don't do your duties, you will be replaced. You are no longer in the group. You forfeit whatever. Whatever it is that you decide with the partner, it needs to be in writing. Number 5, who pays for what? When you're starting out and you're creating a project and you don't have a budget, who's paying for stuff? How are you guys divvying up what you pay for? Are you keeping a ledger of who spent what on what? When we were doing the comedy shows, we had to put money in graphic artists. We had to put money in advertising, in print. We had to put money in different things. Sometimes we rented a venue, so we had to split the cost of how much the rental was and then how we were going to get it back. So that should be in writing in the very beginning. It's really important so it doesn't get sticky, because when you're dealing with money, things get really sticky fast. Whoever was your friend is not your friend no mas. How will the credit be handled? In what order? Is it alphabetical order? What are the titles? Even social media tagging, it should be written down, because it matters. And you don't realize it until you are in the middle of it. So if you can put it together in the very beginning, you'll be much better off. If you put it all in writing in the beginning, you'll be better off. Number 7 is, where will the project you made be distributed? If it's a live show, what clubs are you doing? What theaters are you doing? If it's a film, what festivals? Are you going to put it up on YouTube? Are you going to put it up on Vimeo? What platforms will it go up on? That's important in the beginning to put that out. Write it down. Make it clear. Habakkuk 2:3 says, write the vision, make it clear. So this is part of you writing that vision. Number 8, who has final creative control over this project? The thing that I learned when I was doing Hot and Spicy Mamita, and there were 5 of us at towards the middle, it became an ensemble. It was 5 of us. And when we would go to meetings with like HBO or agent meetings, everybody always wanted to know who was in charge. And we would go, we're all in charge. So people they didn't want to deal with us. They didn't want to deal with 5 Latin women. They just wanted one voice, one person to be able to take it. So who's going to be that voice in your collaboration? Who's going to be the one that goes out? Because if it's two, it gets a little dicey. Any more than that, forget about it. So is there one person who has final control? um, you know, who's gonna direct your project? Do you need editors? Are you guys the producers, or you're gonna bring in a producer? What if things get what if there's creative differences? Who has the final say? That all of that should be worked out in the beginning, because as artists we get emotional, we can't think straight. So we have to be very clear in the beginning. Keep it business, not personal, because it does become personal, especially when you're collaborating. You have put your heart and soul into something, so it is personal. So if you can make it business in the beginning and you have it all written out, it's a little easier. It's like a marriage. Collaboration is no different than dating or getting married, you know. And the problem is that we're not taught how to date properly. We're not taught to ask right questions. We're not taught certain things. So then relationships get messy, because we have an expectation, the other person has an expectation, and we are not in sync of what it is that we want. So we gotta be clear in the beginning, as this is a business. Yes, we are creative, but it is a business. What's the plan for the profit? That is the next question. What's the plan? Are you going to monetize the project you're doing? Are you sharing back end revenue? Meaning, maybe you don't make money in the beginning, but later on you make a big chunk of money. How is that going to be divvied up? You know, as you're submitting the festivals, or you are renting spaces, how is that financial burden getting split? Who's taking care of it? And what if it doesn't work and you put in your your last $5,000 into something, and it does not produce what it is that you wanted it to produce? Because sometimes when you work on projects, they don't yield you the financial reward that you think it should have. It should have brought you money, you should have gotten paid, but you didn't. And so who's carrying that burden? Is it going to be on your your taxes? That, when you are doing your taxes, are you going to deduct that from you, saying, well, I did a project and this is what it cost me? Is it going to be divvied up into several people? That has to be decided in the beginning. This is a business. This is a business. Even though we are artists, we are doing this for monetary gain. So you must put it down before. Otherwise, it's going to get messy. It's going to get nasty. As artists, we want everybody to be our friends, our family. We love everybody. But you know what? Business is business. Even when you're dealing with your own family, you got to make sure you are about the business. Number 10. If you're not putting all your stuff in writing, stop now. Stop it, because there's no protection. If you don't have it set up in the beginning, there is no protection, and it gets so sticky. I say that as someone who has done two big projects early on in my career, and it doesn't work when you try to put the genie back in the bottle in the middle, because people forget the beginning. When money comes up, that's all they remember is, well, no, this is mine. No, I did this. No, it becomes everybody gets amnesia. They're only in it for what they want. So work it out in the very beginning. So we have this paper that we can abide by. So when we start leaning a little left, a little right, we can come back to center because we we answered these questions. We worked on it before we started the collaboration. We figured out what we were going to do, how it was going to get distributed, who was going to be the main voice. Who was it going to be equal partnership? Was it going to be 40-60? Because it gets really, really difficult. And I've seen this amongst friends. I've seen this amongst big celebrities that got into projects without doing the paperwork first. So it's not for just new people. This is for the professional who's been doing it for a long time, who keeps thinking, well, I'm a creative, so I'm going to create. Yeah, you create after you got that paperwork done. That's when you create, not before. Don't give away your ideas beforehand. So, collaboration can be great. There's a lot of great things you can get from collaborating. You share resources, you share connections, you share space. You can build in accountability. If it's a good thing, you're building in accountability where you were supposed to do this by 5 o'clock today. Where are we? It's already 2:15. How are we doing? So now we're pushing each other, we're strengthening each other. The pros include motivation, because when you're working together, you're motivated, you're excited. Let's do this. You're doing it. It also is exciting because they're fresh ideas, right? That you guys are volleying the ball back and forth, the creative ball. And what about this? And what about that? And it is great. It is great. And when a collaboration works, there is nothing like it. But most collaborations work because there is paperwork that was handled in the very beginning, not later on. In the very beginning. Life changes when success is coming and you don't have the paperwork. You will get left out. I mean, it just gets crazy. It gets crazy, crazy, crazy. And I've been lucky in that. It wasn't it didn't break me financially, but it could have, if it could have. And so that's why I wanted to share this with you, to make you aware. Put the stuff in writing, because when you don't, the bad things is that, when you have creative differences, and then you have a snag, and then people don't want to move forward. Well, I don't want to do it because my idea isn't going through. And sometimes it's not about you, it's about the project. It's the greater good. And if you know that as a collaborator, to go, well, that piece I wanted didn't get in, but you know what, at the end of the day, yes, it's kind of like when you're working on a project, on a film project, and you shoot all these wonderful scenes, but when it gets to the editing room, some of that stuff have to get cut. I had a director who used to say, you gotta kill some babies. You got to sacrifice some babies for the greater good of the project. And I know that very well, having done several one-person shows, having done documentaries, having done films, having done web series, that there are things that have to get cut. They don't make it in. No matter how good they were, they don't serve the whole piece. And a collaboration is like that. Sometimes what I want doesn't serve the whole piece. So I have to put my ego to the side and go, it is for the greater good of the project. That's why we want to have that paperwork in place before we start. Another problem with collaborations is that people can make assumptions because things weren't clarified. So you want to make sure everything you can think of is outlined so that there is no confusion. Another bad thing about collaboration is there's no clear decision maker. You gotta have one voice, somebody who says, okay, this is what we're gonna do. When you are collaborating as friends, you have to decide in the beginning, if this doesn't work, we will still be friends. And something that I learned working with friends is that you really don't know friendship until it is tested in a way of collaboration. You know, when you're collaborating, you get to see a side of somebody that you may not have seen in friendship, just like in relationships. And I learned this the hard way. You know, you are dating somebody, you think they're it. And then the ugly side starts to show up. They were cheating. They were, going behind your back doing stuff. It's like, what? What? And so you don't know people until you know people. Never assume you know people, because you don't. You don't know how people will react under pressure when it comes to financial rewards, or the possibility of financial rewards. You don't know people, and sometimes we're naive. We're not walking in with our eyes open. We're like, well, that's my friend, they'll never do anything against me. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. The question is not will they, is when will they. That's when will they, because everybody's got a point to veer right or veer left. So here's what you need to know, that even good relationships, or good marriages, if they're smart, they have a prenup. Not because they don't trust, but because they understand things get sour at the end. So you have something in place. So when you leave with something, or you leave with what you came with. But having a prenup in a marriage is not a bad thing at all. It is a good thing. And I would say that is just as important in a collaboration. Have a prenup, have something in place, and before you do a collab, you got to ask basic questions. One, what do I really want out of this collaboration? What is it? Am I just doing this for practice creatively? What is it that I want? What do I want to get from this? Number two is, in a collaboration, what is the other person bringing to the table? You don't want dead weight. You don't want to be the one that does all the work and not get any of the reward. What do you want? What is it that other person is bringing to the table? How is it being fruitful for you guys together? I am big on win-win. I win, you win. Not I win, you don't get anything. No, it should be a win-win. When you are collaborating with somebody, it should be a win-win. And number three is, what's your exit plan if it doesn't work? What is your exit plan if it doesn't work? What if you were the one who were the one running the machine? What if you were the major collaborator, and you decide, you know what? I don't like how this is going. I don't want to be part of it anymore. Do you sell your options? Do you wish them all well, or do you sink the boat? What is it that you have in mind for your exit plan? Figure that out before you get into the collaboration. It's important. You got to be able to talk about uncomfortable stuff in the very beginning. So if things start going wrong, you can come back to the table and say, hey, this isn't working out like I thought we were going to do it, like how we wrote it out. It's not working out. And communication in a collaboration is really important. One of the things that I did learn between the first comedy project I did and then the second was that in the second one we had monthly meetings where we talk stuff out. Sometimes people don't tell you the truth, but in those meetings, sometimes they don't tell you the truth in those meetings, but the more you try to keep communications flowing, the better it is. And that I did learn, that communication was important. You know, it is important. It is so important. I cannot tell you, communications, honesty, truthfulness, coming to the thing. So again, let's talk about what goes into the paperwork, your roles and responsibility. You gotta know uh, who does the IP belong to, the intellectual property. You know, who's the one? Is it a collaborative thing in the IP where you guys share equally, or is the wealth distributed uh, differently? You know, I did 70% of the work, you did 30. This is how it goes. What is the credit and the compensation? How are you getting credited and how are you getting paid? How is the money going to be divided? We have to know who, and then who has the final say of the project. Who has the final say? It can be 20 people. You know, it's like cooking. You can't have 20 people in the kitchen cooking. There is one chef. There are assistants, but there is only one chef in the kitchen. So who's the person who has the final control? And if there's a dispute, how are you resolving it? Do you have a mediator? Who's the party? You need somebody who is objective, um, who is not married to one side or the other, but they can come and listen to both parties and go, oh, okay, I see what you're trying to say. I see what you're trying to say. Now let's come to a resolve. We got to have proper mediations in a collab. Um, Again, the last thing is, what happens if someone leaves halfway? How is that handled? They're replaced. Do they always get a percentage from whatever you earn, or whatever is earned from that project, even though they left? Did they leave on good terms? Did they not leave on good terms? What is the deal going on? So, with that said, I want to offer you an opportunity to sign up for my Acting Smarter support circle. It's not just a community, it's a lifeline. And inside the support circle, you'll get weekly accountability check ins. There'll be real talk from people who have been there. We'll have guest experts breaking down things like legal agreements, branding, and mindset. It's going to be a safe space for you to vet ideas, and a safe space to meet with potential collaborators who you will do an agreement beforehand. You'll learn about templates to help protect you and your creative work in the community. For me, community has been crucial. When I didn't have community and I was doing stuff on my own, I got burnt. If I had had a community when I was doing those comedy shows, those comedy groups, and I had a community to go to say, hey, this is what's happening, I need help, I think I would have handled it better. But I was handling it like a kid from Spanish Harlem. You ain't gonna mess with me. I'm not taking it. Oh, I will hurt you. I mean, that was not the business way to go. That was not the right thing to do. But that's what I had at that time, and because I've been fortunate later in years to get into really incredible communities, I now have a way to guide, a way to support, a way to give counsel. So I am really excited about the Actors Smarter support circle, because I know what it is to be an artist. I know what it is to be burnt. I know what it is to want something and it falls short. I know what it is to have a success moment and learn how to navigate your successes and not wait on somebody else to do something for you. And I want to share that with you. I want to help you as a creative to live your best life as an actor. So I would love for you to join the wait list and fill out the application that we have. I'm only going to take 30 creatives to join, to be part of the group, because I think that's more than enough. And we will meet weekly, once a week, 90 minutes. And, I think it's something that could really level up your game, level up your career, and help you in the business that you want to be a part of. So, remember, smart actors don't dream, but they protect their dream. My name is Lydia Nicole. This is Acting Smarter Now, and I hope to see you in the circle. God bless you. Have a fantastic day today, and do what you need to do, and get where you need to go with peace, with love, with joy, with all the tools that are available to you. Okay, have a great